안녕하세요, 여러분.
오빠 사랑해.
야, 남자 아니지.
누나, 문자.
I know you see the title of this video, and yes, what I'm about to say is controversial. I was a Koreaboo where my love for K-pop went a little too far. K-pop is addictive. The music hits, the fashion is unique, and their lives are so perfect that you start wanting their lives instead of your own. At some point, I wasn't just obsessed, I denounced my entire identity. I pushed away everything that made me, me. Now before you crucify me, this does not mean that every K-pop fan is a Koreaboo. Nor does that mean that every K-pop fan is obsessive. This is just my story, and I intend to make this more of a cautionary tale. So without further ado, here's my Koreaboo story. I should probably start off by introducing myself. Hey, I'm Tony and I make videos. It all started in 2011 when I saw SHINee's Hello music video. I was mesmerized by the choreography and of course their handsome faces, and it honestly made me feel like they were singing to me. From there I went down the rabbit hole and found a bunch of different groups like Girls' Generation, TVXQ, EXO, and etc. So when did the Koreaboo take over? Well, first it started out with watching music videos over and over again and watching every live stage that goes with their comebacks. And then I slowly started to show my love for K-pop in the real world. I then started to do my makeup like them, cut my bangs several times, and also use their slang like 화이팅 and 대박. And there were so many times where I actually wanted to look Korean clearly, like you can see from past photos. There was a time where I got my pictures professionally done, and I remember showing their photographer all of the K-pop idols that I was trying to achieve the look of, and the photographer's like, you do know they don't look like you, right? So that's like super embarrassing to admit, but I just wanted to paint the picture of how serious my Koreaboo obsession got. Now, even though that is like super embarrassing to admit, I look at these pictures and I don't feel anything when I look at them, honestly. If anything, it's really helped me like know where I came from and just to have more empathy for myself, because quite honestly, I think I was going through a time of feeling lost with my identity and I didn't really have a lot of empathy towards myself. So I always like to revisit these pictures sometimes. So how did this happen? Well, I'd like to dive into kind of a little bit of the psychology of it all, but what I come to find is that K-pop was really an escape for me. I was the weird black girl in my school. I went to a school that didn't have a lot of black students, especially early on in my elementary years. And I always felt left out. I was weird, I was into anime. And yes, I did have friends, but there were some times where I felt isolated and I felt like I didn't fit in. I was socially awkward and hyper-focused on people's perceptions of me. K-pop was the community that took me in without judgment. I could be anonymous and watch my favorite idols. During this time, I think I didn't really realize it, but I did have some negative self-talk going on, and K-pop was really that place where I could just dive into a whole world of lore of different K-pop groups. Watching all of these MVs, that offered me a good mental break to kind of stay away from the negative thoughts that I was having. Kids were mean and they would say things about my hair when it wasn't straightened and my skin tone. And the black students that were there would often comment and tell me that I'm an Oreo, or they'd say that I'm acting white. I have a whole entire video actually about this. I'll link it somewhere here. Check it out. Basically, I talk about my experience with the things that people would say because you're different. A lot of people hold you to the stereotypes of your race, and I think it's totally unfair. I just really didn't have a good outlook on who I was as a person because of what everyone else would say about me. K-pop transported me to a world where I could forget about my bullying, but it was also the time when I was the most vulnerable. I didn't have the emotional intelligence yet, which is basically where you know how to identify your emotions and how to regulate your emotions. And I couldn't really see that I was attaching myself to something that was completely outside of me. And that lack of emotional grounding made me an easy target for celebrity worship. And there are other people who have followed the same trajectory as I did to that path of worshipping celebrities and wanting to be something other than what you are. So let's take a look at the research. According to Elizabeth Bland, author of How Smart Are K-Pop Fans? That's the paraphrased title, but she was basically just talking about emotional intelligence and comparing it to the K-pop fan ideology and just how obsessive it can be. As early as the 1950s, psychologists noticed that people who felt isolated or socially disconnected were more likely to latch onto celebrities in intense ways. Later studies found that some fans start imitating their idols, the hair, the clothes, the speech, even the products they buy. And more recent research suggests that people who fall into celebrity worship often struggle with emotional regulation compared to those who don't. I didn't know any of that at the time. I just knew that K-pop made me feel something that I couldn't get anywhere else. I did want to talk about the femininity piece because I feel like this also kind of hones in on where this issue stemmed from, why I wanted to be a Koreaboo in the first place. I was masculinized as a teenager. I was the tall black girl. So not only was I weird, but I was also tall and black. And because of those factors, I was often met with microaggressions and people trying to tell me that I was masculine. I was told that I was strong. The girls would hide behind me. They would say things like I'm a tree. A lot of things like that. So going into the K-pop community, I already had a negative perception of myself. I was a very feminine woman, and I do believe that blackness and femininity go hand in hand. And I don't know where this thought comes from, but society will constantly tell black women that they are not feminine. And unfortunately, I fell victim to that. So I constantly always felt like I had to prove my femininity. I saw the K-pop girls and I saw how well they were being treated. You know, you watch the K-dramas and you'd find that they're in wonderful fairy tale loves, and I just wanted that for myself. There are examples of black women being labeled as masculine in society. I'm taking some research from an article written by, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this name, Nicholas Akachuluku. He wrote The Masculinization of Black Women. He pointed out the whole entire issue with Cynthia Erivo being masculinized right in front of us. We saw this. With the Wicked Press Tour, the second movie, Ariana was attacked by a crazed fan. Of course, he got very excited, and just like any normal caring person would do, Cynthia stepped out in front of Ariana. And instead of people cheering her on and praising her for her bravery, Cynthia was met with memes. They edited her muscles to be bigger. They edited her to look like a bodyguard. Completely forget that she had nails on, forget that she had a beautiful gown on. What people saw was a black woman, and they immediately pinned her as the man in this situation. He also juxtaposed this to the co-stars, right? So if it was Michelle Yeoh or Jonathan, if they were to be the ones that stepped in, they would not have met the memes that Cynthia did. And it's really crazy that black women feel like we have to prove our femininity. I want to put it out here that we are innately feminine. If you are born a female, you are innately feminine. And I really don't understand society, and I really look back on my thoughts of like, man, I'm not pretty enough, not feminine enough. And I just really have empathy for myself because it is not me that's the issue. It honestly was society and the way how we treat black women. That is what the issue is. So anytime that I hear anything about black women not being feminine, I just block it out because it's so far from the truth. When you're into K-pop, you don't really realize, but this is an industry that preys off of our insecurities. We are at an age where we are struggling with our identities and we're looking to someone to help us find it. And instead of looking to healthy role models, we are given K-pop idols who are starving themselves, overworking themselves, and we are actually in a very toxic environment and we don't know it. When we're struggling with our identities, we are looking for someone to follow. And with a K-pop fan, especially a young K-pop fan, we often take on the K-pop idols' mannerisms. We start buying their products. We think that if we start dressing like them, we will be liked. We follow their diets. We try to get as close to their lives as possible because we feel like that is perfection. That is the image that was shown to us. The industry markets the K-pop idol life as though this is a dream life. But in reality, those idols are struggling. They are going through diets, debt. It is a very toxic industry. As a teen, I would see K-pop idols fainting on stage, them talking about how much debt that they incurred, and I just never thought anything of it. I still dreamed of having the K-pop idol life. My turning point, when did I change? When did I realize that being a Koreaboo is not the way to go? Basically, I went into Korean spaces and found out, shocker, I wasn't going to be accepted. My delulu was at an all-time high. For some reason, I thought that if I did everything the Korean way, I would be accepted, I would be liked. And girl, was I in for a wake-up call. Dark shades in Korean makeup are non-existent. I saw mockeries of Black people and other races in K-pop. The world that I once thought was a safe space was actually against me. Korea itself has been more accepting to foreigners, and it does adapt to more Western ideals and more Western styles, but it is still a very homogeneous country where the majority of the people in Korea are Korean. So of course you're going to be met with some ignorant comments and some behaviors that wouldn't really fly over here in the US. Now, I don't want to just single out Koreans, because there are other countries that have that same type of ethnocentrism where they only think about or only know about their own country and their own culture. Sometimes there are a lot of Americans as well that can be very American and will say very racist and very insensitive things about Asian cultures as well. Editing Tony here. I want to be clear that I'm talking about a select group of Koreans that can have ignorant perspectives on other cultures. This does not mean that everyone is this way. There are many examples of Koreans that take their time to educate themselves on different cultures. Please do not misinterpret what I'm saying here. And I want to take accountability too. There is more to Korea than K-pop. So if any of you guys are also on the Koreaboo train, I would advise you guys to hop off and just look at Korea for more than K-pop. There is a rich history that Korea has that's built on perseverance. They have had to fight a lot and have to overcome so many things in their history. And for us to just label them as just K-pop is disrespectful, honestly. And eventually I found that I just needed to be Tony. Not who Tony was to other people, but who Tony was to me. I began dressing in Western styles that actually fit my facial features and my body type. I stopped worrying about being super skinny and trying to fit into something that I was never meant to be. I started to love myself, and before I knew it, I was able to appreciate other cultures as well as my own. I'm half Jamaican and half Antiguan, y'all, and it took me until I was 24 to fully embrace those sides of me. To be clear, I am not judging anyone that is a Koreaboo. I have lived it. If you can see yourself in my story, I want you guys to take a second to reflect on the things that you are currently going through. And please know, young girls and boys, you will eventually find your true identity, but you're not going to find it being a different race, trying to be a K-pop idol. No, you're going to find it naturally. When you start to love yourself, you won't have to look outside. And if you obsess over K-pop and K-pop idols, that can be an indication that you are dealing with something deeper and you need to sit down and reflect. And my last words of advice: before you stan an idol, stan yourself. This video was meant for discussion, so please feel free to remix this, share your opinions, leave your comments on anything that I said. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comment section down below. Just share your thoughts and I will reply. Please feel free to give this video a big thumbs up. That does help me out a lot, and also consider subscribing to the channel so you guys never miss a beat on when I post. Thank you for watching, take care, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya!